Okay. Okay, we must be started. So I'm Cathy Lindsey, and I work under Evolutionary Astrology, and I live in Des Moines, Iowa, in the United States. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to talk about the spring equinox and the super full moon that we had that happened on the equinox, a little under 4 hours apart, and some of the transits and some of the activities. And it's very powerful chart. And the spring equinox chart is the chart. It'll be the backdrop for everything that happens in this year until the next spring equinox of 2020, because it's the astrological new year. So all of the aspects I'll talk about, etc., will be the backdrop. And that's quite powerful, actually, because we have a lot going on in this chart. So the actual equinox happened at 5:59 p.m. Central Daylight Time on the 20th. And of course, the equinoxes are very important to the Earth, and they open a portal to the universe. And at the time of the equinox, and therefore we get some downloads of energies and knowledge, from the whole galaxy, basically. And it's just a very powerful Earth spiritual type of portal that opens at that time. So equal day, equal night, that's what happens at the equinox. And it's like balance, the equal give and take that is accented at that time. When the shift started in 2010, balance was one of the things that we were moving towards, and we still are moving towards balance in a lot of areas. The sacred feminine and the sacred male, and the all the different balances between law, energies, love, work, etc., and bringing them into an equal give and take balance. And this equinox is very much that way, the energies. A real concentration in DC, in the Washington chart that we have up here in the house of relationships and the house of the other. So learning how to be in equal give and take relationships with other people. And that also includes countries, and it includes leaders, and it includes businesses and employees, and a real emphasis from the universe on that equal give and take and bringing everything into balance. Of course, down in the southern hemisphere, it's the beginning of fall, where we're up in the northern hemisphere having the beginning of spring. And up here, we are really enjoying the fact that tulips and daffodils are just starting to pop up, and the sun is shining, and it's just really, really nice for the spring equinox or the northern equinox. I wanted to say too that as the portal opens and the equinox happens directly across from the sun, which just moved into 00 Aries at the equinox, it also is opposing the supergalactic center. So there's an activation of the supergalactic center by the equinox sun. And that's a very powerful thing. The supergalactic center is a center that over 30 galaxies rotate around. And we are one of them. Our galaxy is one of 30 plus galaxies that are rotating around the supergalactic center. So we're activating many galaxies and lots of information out there from all these different galaxies that actually is downloaded at the time of the equinox. And I know the equinox was like yesterday, but it doesn't matter. We're still in the energy of the equinox, and those downloads from all 30 plus galaxies and from the whole universe, from the portal opening, would have been downloaded to you through your guidance. So activations of DNA from many lifetimes, and activations of a lot of knowledge, and then downloads of knowledge. So very, very powerful, the spring equinox. Of course, the aspects going on at the spring equinox, very, very, very powerful. We have Saturn, of course, sitting with Pluto in Capricorn. That's major. I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And we actually have a Cardinal Grand Cross going on with the Saturn, Pluto, and South Node conjunction, excuse me, and it'll be a Cardinal Grand Cross. We have other aspects happening at the same time, and I'll go into them individually. I do want to point out that at the equinox, the spring equinox, we also have a full moon in Libra that happens less than 4 hours after the equinox happened. And we're in that energy right now, the full moon in Libra. But this was a very unusual equinox insofar as this full moon that happened less than 4 hours into the equinox. It's a super full moon, which means it was very, very close to the Earth, and the energies were even stronger. This alignment of the equinox and the full moon, super full moon coming in to reality here last night, hasn't happened since March 20th of 1981, where we've had a full moon come in on the same day and just a few hours from the equinox. So it's been several years, about 38 years, that this phenomenon has happened. So I'm not sure how everyone has felt about this as far as energy-wise, but I know yesterday was very, very energetic where I was at. A lot of energies, full moon energies, you got the equinox energies, you got all the aspects going on. You have Mercury in Pisces, sitting with Neptune in Pisces, only 2 degrees away, making communications very, very fuzzy and very not quite connecting a lot of times. And so I found even myself yesterday giving a speech at a ceremony last night, having a little bit of trouble keeping my outline going and keeping what I wanted to say happening out there. The energies were so strong. And then Mercury retrograde in Pisces sitting with Neptune. It's been a challenge trying to keep communication and technology working as it should. Actually, at the spring equinox too, the moon actually was in Virgo until it changed into Pisces, like 3+ hours later. Or it changed into Libra, 3+ hours later. The Virgo moon at the equinox gave an accent on Earth and the Earth energies, and kind of concentrating with Earth. Also a lot of knowledge with the Virgo moon, and being able to kind of ground a little bit the tremendous energies that were happening at the equinox. So it was quite an impressive equinox, and again one that really hadn't happened since 1981. I will say that part of all of these very strong energies and this Piscean energy and the etc. With the Mercury, I had a little trouble getting into this meeting, And so if I seem a little flustered and a little kind of out there with the Pisces Mercury retrograde, we did get it fixed. So we're actually on track now. Actually, when the aspects of the full moon in Libra and the aspects of the spring equinox are really the same. All the aspects are the same when I go into those, except the moon. So I talked a bit about the Virgo moon at the time of the equinox, which kind of helps there as the moon was shifting into the Libra full moon. It was still a super moon, and so the energy is being very, very strong. So the full moon, I'll go into the full moon part, and I'll dip back into the aspects of the equinox and the full moon that are both the same. But I'll talk a minute on the full moon, which happened again a little less than 4 hours after the actual equinox. And that full moon is in Libra. And I think it's very, very important at this time in our history and in our world to really take in these Libra energies that are very strong because of the super moon. And that happened within 4 hours of the equinox, a huge accent of this Libra full moon with the Aries sun, of course. Libra is about love. Libra is about balance. Libra it is very, very loving and creative and active and loves the arts. But right now it's that love part that I want to really concentrate on a little bit, because we need this so much in the world. And I'll get into a little bit more when I talk about the Cardinal square or Cardinal Grand Cross. But as you know, the world right now is in a lot of chaos, and it's in a lot of disruptive energy. There's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of chaos and discord, etc., happening out there. In the United States, the government and everything is up in arms, kind of, and very chaotic. I know in Australia and New Zealand, we've had the mass shooting down there in the mosques, and I believe the shooter was from Australia. We've had a lot of shootings here in the United States. We have things going on in England and Europe and the UK and everywhere. The energies are very chaotic, and they're very angry, and there's a lot of fear, etc. I believe this has to do with the fact that I think 2019 is a year of bringing everything out that needs desperately changed. It's a year of teardown, basically. It's a year that things are being put in our face so we can see it, and so we know where the changes need to be. So when we reach the 2020 is on, but the year 2020, we can really start to, I don't want to say fix things, start to create that new, start to make things rise out of the ashes of things that are being torn down, things that are being put in our faces, and we're saying we don't want this kind of activity anymore in the world. We don't want this angst, etc. We want peace, and we want love, and we want everybody to get along. Sounds almost like a little fantasy, but it doesn't have to be. That's part of what these energies are doing. Concentrating right now through meditation, etc., with the love energy. And again, right now, Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, sitting with Neptune. That's unconditional love. Pisces is unconditional love. And this tremendous super full moon that happened at the equinox is in Libra, which is about love. And so it's a real emphasis from the universe that we need to concentrate on love of everybody. We need to start creating that, meditating on it, but intentions and manifesting. We're very strong that way. The fear out there, the anger, the hatred that seems to be rising all over the world, isn't as strong as love. So that's part of what this new moon is saying, this full moon is saying at the equinox for everybody, in balance, everyone. So the Libra full moon is often referred to as a pink moon because of the flowers that are blooming. It's also referred to as a worm moon because of spring and of course this is in the northern hemisphere, and the worms that start to come out at this time of year. And all full moons, of course, as we know, includes the sun, and so that balance between the sacred male, Aries sun, and the sacred feminine, the Libra moon, is very much accented at this time. Like I said, that is part of the shift, and we need that equalness. We need it in the countries, we need it in the governments, we need it between our leaders and business. I mean, every type of relationship. This full moon is all about relationships, all relationships, business, personal, countries, commanders, presidents, whatever. There needs to be balance there, and there needs to be equal give and take and equalness and treating people equally with the other, with the love. It's like we want to create peace, not war. And back in the 60s, when I entered college in 1968, I'm an old hippie. At any rate, one of the things we used to say all the time is still very prominent now, is make love, not war. And that's very, very much a strong statement that we should be focusing on right now, with the world being in chaos like it is, and the anger and the hatred that seems to be out there, and the love that we have, and the unconditional love that we're giving, that we have been given, and that are currently being given to us from the universe. And again, it's strong, and we can overcome a lot of this anger and hatred. We're being given a lot of the energies to be able to do this. The Libra moon is also squaring Mars in the chart of the equinox and the full moon. So another emphasis from the universe, we need to get this love and this passion, etc., between leaders and people, and between all types of relationships, and get this into balance. So Mars represents the male sexuality, the male energy, the warrior energy and passion, and all of that. And of course the Venus represents the love and the feminine. Okay, so bringing that all into balance, they're squaring each other at the chart, so there's friction there. And there's a little bit of stress. So those connections are being activated, and the Mars and the Venus at this Libra full moon are in square. And so Venus rules the Libra moon, Mars rules the Aries sun, and Mars and Libra are square in the chart. The universe is making this a prominent energy right now, a prominent activation, that we need to bring these two energies into balance. And again, let's make love and bring in love and peace, and let's make love and not war, with the representation of Venus and Mars. And of course, Venus is in Taurus, which again brings a Taurus being ruled by Venus. Venus is in Aquarius, which is the love of everyone and all humanity, and Mars is in Taurus. And that can be, Mars and Taurus, where the friction kind of comes in, would like its passion or what it's doing kind of on its home front, Taurus, on its own land, etc. And being more like, say, with their lover in their home and in their homeland, with Mars and Taurus, a little example there. But Venus and Aquarius wants to be with everyone, and Venus wants to love everyone, and we're all equal, and we're all created equal. And so that's where that clash is kind of coming, that square, bringing those energies to the forefront at this equinox and this Libra full moon. And so very, very accented, those energies. Okay. So as this powerful equinox, full moon chart has a lot of different energies and a lot of different aspects. Excuse me one minute here. And okay. So we have the equinox sun, Mars, okay. We have the equinox sun sitting with Chiron. And this is a very strong message from the universe, Chiron being the wounded healer, and representing a wound. And we're looking at the equinox chart and the full moon chart. That wound is a collective wound. And it's in Aries, which is war, anger, hatred on the grayer side of Aries. And all of this stuff that we're kind of seeing in the world out there, all of this angst. And that is what needs to be healed. That's part of the message from the universe as Chiron moves into Aries for about the next 7 years. And, being very prominent in the chart that's the backdrop for this whole year of 2019. Healing that wound, healing the collective wound around anger and war, etc. That's where that wound is landing. Bringing it into passion and bringing it into the spiritual warrior, bringing it into, starting a crusade for peace, a crusade for love. This is that higher end of Chiron, that healing energy in Aries. But again, a huge message from the universe at this particular time, with this accent of the equinox being the astrological new year and the backdrop for the whole year, accented by the full moon and the sun at the full moon and at the equinox being conjunct Chiron. So there's a lot of energy and a lot of major lessons going on with this equinox, the astrological new year, and the accent of the full moon at the same time. One of the other things, as we're healing on the gifts of Chiron, and of course Chiron being the wounded healer and the teacher of the gods, and several other meanings of Chiron, is that this placement also can mean, help you step into your own gifts, healing your own wounds and healing the wounds of the world, and stepping into gifts and becoming a healer and becoming a mentor and becoming a teacher, that higher end of Chiron. And so, I mean, you have that balance. You have both sides here. What we're seeing in the world is a lot of the war and the anger and the hate kind of energy, the shootings that have been happening all over the world, and bringing that to the higher end of the Chiron, and conjunct this Aries full moon and this Aries sun in the astrological New Year's chart. Meditating, manifesting on the fact that brings in more healers, that brings in more mentors on the higher end. And so that's kind of the message there. It's putting things, the universe is putting stuff right in our face. And we see it in the news daily. And with Chiron conjunct the Aries sun, now for the next 7 years here, Chiron will be in Aries the next 7 years, but this is the backdrop for this whole year. Again, this is a year of teardown. This is the year of putting stuff right in our faces so that we can't miss it, so that we know what it is that we have to put our energies towards. We know what it is that we have to heal. We know what it is that we need to bring down, like into the ashes, and create a new way of doing these things. If we continue to go on the path we're going, it's like a path of destruction. That we don't know what to let go of and what to destroy if we can't see it. And so the universe, becoming very urgent right now, is showing us what it is that we don't want anymore, what we need to tear down, what we need to let go of in our personal lives, but also in the whole world and throughout the world and for all humanity. We have a very, very prominent aspect that I do want to talk about, and that is the Cardinal Grand Cross that is in both charts. And because again, the only thing different in the two charts is the moon. But if the Cardinal Grand Cross is very, very energetic, it includes, it includes Uranus, it includes Eris, it includes Pluto, Saturn, South Node, that whole combination. It includes the North Node, and it includes Pallas Athene, therefore making a Cardinal Grand Cross. And as we know, that Cardinal energy is about transformation, it's about change. And it's about urgency, birthing of new also. But urgency, and urgency is what we feel a lot, that very urgent energy that we need to take care of it now, or that we're thrown into something very urgently, and we can get very, very, it can cause a lot of anxiety, etc. That urgency. Uranus is in Taurus, but it's only at 0 degrees of Taurus, so it's still technically connected to the cardinal square through Eris. And Eris, of course, is the planet and she's made herself really known. And I did a speech on that about a year or so ago. And she's sitting right up there with Uranus. And Eris came in her energy came in very strongly around 2016, around the elections up here in the United States. And when things really throughout the world also start getting very chaotic and kind of wild card energy, to where you never know what exactly is going to happen. Are they going to pass this bill or not? Are they going to pass different things throughout the world in the different countries. In our case here in the United States, we elected a new president at that time, and I can remember people saying to me, "What, who's going to win this election, or what do you think?" And it'd be like, I kept telling people, it's a wild card election. Chaos is everywhere, not just in the United States at that time, and still is, of course, but throughout the world. And that's what Eris's energy represents. She was discovered in 2005. Her energy became very prominent everywhere in the world in 2016. And she still has that energy, and she's still causing chaos, and she's still causing wild card energy. And in mythology, she started the Trojan War. So she is still going to be involved in the Cardinal square, Grand Cross, T-squares until Pluto moves into Aquarius, actually. So there still will be this Cardinal square, Cardinal Grand Cross. But right now, Uranus, even though it's in Taurus, is technically attached to the Cardinal Grand Cross at this time with Eris. So we have this combination, this conjunction of the planets that I spoke of a few minutes ago, Uranus and Eris, and South Node Pluto, Saturn, Pallas Athene, and the North Node. So I kind of talked a little bit about Uranus and Eris, and I'm going to talk just a second on Uranus, as it just moved into Taurus, and then I'll move into another area of this Cardinal Grand Cross. Remember, this is all the backdrop of the whole year coming up. So Uranus and Taurus. Well, Uranus is constant. It's a constant of change. Wherever Uranus is, things are going to change, period. Besides, Uranus brings in, of course, I don't need to tell all of you this, but it does bring in a lot of that genius energy, that ability to think outside the box. It rules astrology. Uranus is about the tribe, the community, humanity. Uranus will buck the system when it needs to be bucked, and don't try to fence anybody in that has strong Uranus or Aquarius activations in their chart. But changes. So we look at Taurus. It just moved into Taurus. I see changes happening around land, like eminent domain. We have that up here. I think a lot of all over the world has that kind of thing where the government comes in and leases your land or whatever. And I think there's going to be some changes there, because there has been some flare-ups majorly, at least here in the United States, about the government trying to take land from people. And people's land will become very, very important. The earth will become very, very important. Global warming will become a real focus with Uranus and Taurus, wanting to change that, wanting to change things that is making the earth a little unstable. Natural foods and natural medicines. Taurus loves to grow their own food and medicines. And here in the United States, when Uranus dipped back into Taurus back in May, all of a sudden a real focus on medical marijuana and medical use of the marijuana plant and other natural healing modalities. There's some states here in the United States where you can't have any kind of natural healings, and that, the doctors can't say, well, take this vitamin or do this or do that instead of a pharmaceutical. A lot of states don't allow that, and that's changing also. Bringing into balance the pharmaceuticals and the natural medicines, bringing into balance GMOs and natural foods. These are areas that I believe will become very prominent over the next 7 years with Uranus and Taurus. Again, the land part also on global warming. There's a lot of changes that in that arena, and those arenas, and many more arenas, as Uranus moves through Taurus. Taurus rules music, and Taurus rules sound, and sound healing also is another modality that I think will become even stronger than it is now. So there's a lot going on with Uranus moving into Taurus. And again, it's in this cardinal grand cross at the equinox and the full moon. So when we dip back down here into the south node, Pluto and Saturn, all conjunct in Capricorn. Capricorn, of course, rules the government, the military, the stock market, corporate, where I usually say corporate America, but it's corporate and businesses and structures that way all over the world. Capricorn wants integrity, and it wants respect. And, it thrives for that. And Capricorn also is the wisdom of the elders, honoring the elders and the wisdom that comes with that. And Capricorn is the one sign that can take that mountain goat, that strive to accomplish something and make it to the top. And it also, Capricorn, that goat can make it to several levels, even beyond the earthly levels, and bring it in and ground it. And that's because of the symbol of the fishtail. That is the bottom part of the goat, being able to take the higher energies, the wisdom of all the elders from this plane and other planes and other lifetimes, and all that wisdom, and bring it in and ground it and be able to use it in real life. Capricorn energy is very, very strong, but also a little bit mystical. And so when you think of the fact that, excuse me, we have Saturn in Capricorn, and Saturn rules Capricorn, so we're going to put another real emphasis on business and structures. And the way corporate and the businesses are ran, and all of the different governments all over the world, and are they operating at the best for humanity? Are they operating for the best of their people? Are they allowing integrity and respect between the government and between the people? And so you can kind of see where that is all up in arms at this particular time, all over the world. And of course, living in the United States, our whole political system and the government, and it is really kind of in an angst and in chaos, along with all the other areas in the world, in the UK, and right now in New Zealand and Australia with what just happened there, and everywhere. And so you have Saturn ruling Capricorn, sitting there in Capricorn, saying we need integrity, we need respect, and it needs to be given to us from our government, and we should be able to give it back to our government. And so those things are being put in our face right now, because that's not actually totally happening. And then Saturn's sitting next to Pluto, planet of transformation. Pluto doesn't care, what kind of car you drive or where you live or how much money you have. It only cares about the soul. And so Pluto's trying to transform these things that are not quite working correctly in Capricorn, the government, the military, stock markets, the whole thing, and transform it at more of a soul level. And Pluto also rules sex. And so there's a lot of things coming out in the news, the sex trafficking, and even in the government, a lot of sexual things coming out of accusations of leaders, inappropriately in relationships with each other or with children, et cetera, et cetera. That shows up with the Pluto and Capricorn also. So you have those two that are working strongly. in issues that rule the governments all over the world. And that's why the whole world seems to be in chaos and discord and just wildness, kind of. And of course, that's squaring Uranus and squaring Eris. Don't forget Eris. She is prominent right now, her energy. And so Saturn and Pluto are conjunct the South Node. South Node in Capricorn, bringing up things that we have not quite accomplished in all of the Capricorn areas. And focusing a lot on like the governments and corporate and business and structures, etc., that haven't been quite where they need to be. They aren't all treating people with integrity and respect. They're not, seeing that everything needs to be done respectively and with integrity. There shouldn't be any lies and secrets in government and in corporations and in military and stuff. I know you have to have military secrets, but I'm talking about, keeping secrets away so that they can do damaging things, right? This is all coming out. You just have to watch the news. No matter what country you're in, there's things going on with Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn and conjuncting the South Node. These are things that have been going on for lifetimes. And the universe is saying now is the time during this shift that we started in 2010. Now is the time to transform these. Now is the time to change Uranus. Uranus will have to do with the earth now part of the world and the government. But this is a huge, huge conjunction of Saturn and Pluto and Uranus and the South Node. And you can see it playing out daily on the news, no matter what country really that you're looking at. And again, Pluto wants this transformed. The universe wants this transformed. And so it will bring it out and put it in everybody's faces so we know what it is that needs to be transformed. And we've had this huge cardinal square going on since 2010, and periodically cardinal T-square, cardinal grand cross. And that makes the energy even more urgent and even more transformative and even more birthing of new. We are birthing a new reality is what the universe is wanting us to do. And again, we can't do that until we can see what everything is. And now we're seeing a lot of these secrets. And we're seeing a lot of these things that have been hidden. And Pluto in Capricorn, accented by Saturn in Capricorn, is saying no more secrets. No more out of bounds ego. Get out of the ego. This is humanity. Everybody together. And so that's a lot of what's been happening. As we know, like I said, all you have to do is watch the news, etc. The other part of this cardinal square is Pallas Athene in Libra. And, she's about that balance. She's about bringing in that balance. And she's about that sacred feminine. And even though she's usually showing, with a little armor pleated skirt and a little vest and armor and a little beanie or whatever, and a spear, she has the book of knowledge. The knowledge for everybody, the high knowledge of fairness, the high knowledge of that's been passed down through our elders. She also was very musical. There, again, I mentioned the sound healing and the musical and the vibrations that they're now bringing into natural healings, which will be accented even more as Taurus continues its path into Taurus. As Uranus continues its path into Taurus. North Node in Cancer. That's kind of the last leg of that cardinal grand cross. Cancer. Cancer energy is nurturing. It's caring. It's like the big mother. And it's very much family orientated. And let's make everyone family. I mean, the Cancer mother on the block is the one that all the kids go to their house. They're the ones that make the chicken soup to make sure that, 6 houses down the road, there's somebody that has the flu or something, and they'll make the chicken soup for them. Cancer's not about fighting for I'm number one or fighting for, everybody look at me kind of ego stuff. Cancer's about nurturing. Cancer's about caring. Cancer's about family. Humanity is a family. Our community should be family oriented. And that's what we're headed towards. That's the energy we're heading towards right now. North Node in Cancer. South Node in Capricorn. Not so much the structures, and not that you have to follow these rules and you can't nurture that person because of, et cetera, et cetera. It's a balance of the executives or presidents or leaders or the CEOs of corporations spending all their time at work and never really being with their family. That's the Capricorn South Node. Capricorn North Node is family oriented. Capricorn North Node is taking care of everybody. It doesn't mean that you have to, be in love with or totally, embody and hug everybody, but it means you treat everybody respectfully. You treat everyone as if they are family. And if someone you really don't know has the flu 6 houses down the road, just send them a bottle of chicken noodle soup. That's the Cancer North Node. It's not about Capricorn, the CEO, that, that wants to just be the leader over everyone, shouting out directions, you do this, you do that, staying in the office 99% of the time and maybe going home to sleep and eat and then going back. That's the old. That's what we're releasing. That's what Pluto's transforming. And that's what Saturn has come in to even accent even more right now. So this is a powerful grand cross that we're having at the equinox, which is the astrological new year, which is going to be the backdrop to the whole year until spring equinox of 2020. So a year of like tear down, a year of releasing this old stuff that we no longer want, and we don't Mercury retrograde in Pisces, that we no longer need and we no longer want. The universe is giving us a lot of really strong information here, a lot of strong knowledge. We just have to get there. Got to keep it in our minds so that we understand that we are releasing a lot of this stuff. This old that's no longer working, we need to shift it. We need to shift it into the higher energies of each placement, the unconditional love of Mercury retrograde sitting with Neptune and Pisces, the love of the full moon at the equinox that hasn't happened since 1981. What an emphasis there. Only a few hours after the equinox. It's about love. It's about creativity. It's about socializing. It's about the arts. There's so much information that when I was trying to write it all down, I mean, I could have probably written a book on this equinox chart. But of course, there's not enough time in the speech. But not only that, it's the energies are just so strong, and the message is so strong. We have to release a lot of this old stuff. We need to bring in family. We need to bring in love. We need to bring in integrity. We need to bring in respect. This is all very prominent in this chart. And we need to bring this into the world. We need to bring it into our countries, our leaders, our corporations, our individual people. And, this bit about, your skin's darker than mine, or your religion is this and mine's this. It doesn't matter. We're all one. We're all human. We're all a human race. And these man-made rules that has come along forever and forever, Capricorn South Node, need to be released. They need to be updated. They need to have integrity. They need to have respect. They need to have love. They need to have nurture. That's what this shift has been about since 2010. That's what the emphasis of this year is about, 2019, with this chart and being the backdrop, astrological new year. We have a lot to do here in 2019, really. So it's a lot about change. And it's a lot about transformation. It's actually kind of the energy of radical changes. Some of the changes will seem very radical out there, but we need some of that. We need radical change because the way things are, the way things have been is not working anymore. There's so much division in the whole world, and living in the United States, there's a lot of division here. There's a lot of anger here and the UK and the whole thing with that happened in New Zealand and the connection to Australia. Everyone there's, but of course in all of our prayers up here in the US, because we've had our own stuff going on and appreciate the same back. It's really it's chaotic and it's out of control, and that's why we have this grand cross going on in cardinal energy at this equinox and full moon, but extremely why we have Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node conjunct at this time. It's not an easy time. It's not easy energy. It's very revolutionary. It's very chaotic. For ourselves individually, our own little piece where this equinox falls around your own chart, but in the whole the whole world. And again, things are being put right in our faces, because if we can't see what we don't like, and we can't see what we want to change, and we can't see what we want to release, then none of it will go away. None of it will change. None of it will evolve, which is really what we're after and what we're moving towards. The evolution of humanity, the evolution of the planet, and the evolution of the planet will be helped now by Uranus going through Taurus, that planet and the Earth. But again, we really need to pay attention and to not get into the fear and to not get into the angst and to not get into the competition, the not good competition, and not get into the divisions and not get into name calling and running people down and running races down and running religions down. That is the old that we're trying to release. This is all in this chart. It's all in the chart of the equinox full moon. This is knowledge. This is energy that's coming from the universe. We're being given all this energy and this chaos and this radical changes, etc., and all this very uncomfortableness and the kind of wild card kind of energy. You have no clue what's coming next. We're being given all of that so that we can see what we need to release, what we need to change, and where we need to focus our intentions and where we need to focus our energies. The North Node is showing us where we need to focus. This equinox with Mercury retrograde and next to Neptune, and the Libra full moon, supermoon even, making its really prominent entrance just a few hours after the equinox. It's all about love. It's all about peace. North Node's all about caring, taking care of each other, nurturing. We're all a family. And so that's the energy of this equinox and this full moon that came in. And I'd be open to questions, but I don't know that we can do questions since we had a little trouble getting this all hooked up today. But I would enjoy questions. So I think that's about, yeah. Anyone? Anyway, so I think that's about where I would end it. We do have, I could bring in the fact that we do have Jupiter that's squaring Vesta. Vesta's where our, hello? Vesta's where our fire burns the strongest, our passion, and that's feminine also. And Jupiter squaring from Sag, so the higher knowledge and the wisdoms of the master teachers, etc. Is another aspect of this full moon. Again, higher knowledge. And again, Sagittarius, Jupiter, international. Fires burning the strongest, our passion, the femininity as it squares Vesta in Pisces. At the actual equinox, Jupiter also squared the moon before it became a full moon. So for about 3 hours there at the equinox, a little plus, Jupiter was squaring the moon also, bringing in some joy, some optimism, some higher knowledge. The traveling, the international part also plays in a lot to what we were talking about with the Cardinal Grand Cross and all the energies of the year chart, the backdrop, because of the astrological year. Okay, well.
Okay, bravo. Thank you so much, Cathy. That was amazing as usual. I just love your interpretations. Thank you so much for being very clear and spot on with all of those.
I was kind of a little flustered because of, not having the connection at first. But I think Mercury and Pisces, and my natal Mercury being in the 12th house, is really kind of flustered me. But I think I got out everything that I wanted to get out.
Oh, you did, and I love your Mercury in the 12th house. I think it's beautiful, very, very expressive. Thank you so much from all of us. Any questions from anyone before we go down? Okay,
just to say that was great, Cathy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. It was interesting that the symbol for Capricorn, the sea has the fish tail.
Yes.
Always thought of Capricorn, Saturn and Capricorn as the structure of consciousness, and I saw it as very separate from the spiritual. So thank you for that reminder that spirituality is built in to the human being. We cannot separate these things.
No, and it does give us the ability to ground and bring into form our spirituality with Capricorn, with fish tail.
Exactly, and spiritualize everything here on Earth.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's bring this meeting to an end. Thank you very much. Would you all please thank Cathy Lindsey, everyone?
Thank you. I'm glad we were able to get the connection going.
See you next time.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.